Kia ora rai te whanau. Welcome back to the Planting Seeds podcast. I'm your host, Raniera Rewiri, aka Plant-Based Māori. And just wanted to get on this morning because I put out something last night, sort of like a suggestion box on my Instagram to ask what people might want me to talk about, as well as who are some cool guests that could come on to the show. And I was going through everything, and I really do appreciate everyone just taking a bit of time out of their day to suggest something. And there were a few cool things on there, like it's sort of like the people who suggested something have an idea of who I am, because there was so much on there that I had already thought about. But reading some of these things, it just reassured me that like these are some of the topics that I should pursue with. And as I was in my own sort of state of meditating this morning, it just brought the idea, like maybe me talking about meditation is the first thing that I should talk about, because as I was in this meditated state, there was just an overwhelming feeling of abundance, prosperity, goodness that I'm feeling in this space, and I want to be able to share that with other people, and hopefully encourage people to at least try it, or maybe what I'm about to say can allow people to expand their mind about this thing about meditating, about spirituality, about vibrational frequency, about the universe, around supreme enlightenment, all of these types of things. Because if you were to look at anyone who is in a role or in a position of where things are just absolutely amazing from the outside looking in, but the thing that meditating does is what people might see from the outside looking in, that they're having a great time and their life is amazing. But if this person whose life is amazing, if they meditate, or if they are in connection with who they really are, they are actually blessed as well. They feel it. It's not one of those cases where they look good from the outside looking in, but to themselves they're unhappy. If people are connected to themselves, as well as feel that they are guided by something greater, whether that's God, whether that's the universe, they genuinely are happy and more fulfilled as a whole. And I think for myself, I can really resonate with that. Even though I'm in the space that I'm in, I can see and feel the benefits of what meditating actually does. And I was first introduced to this maybe a few years ago when I was around traveling. I was in Thailand and doing things in Europe. And when I came home, I knew that I wanted to better myself as a person, and there was a meditating group here in Whakatane, and I went along. It was $10 for an hour, and every time that I came out of that space, I just felt so much lighter. And I'd done that consistently for about 6 weeks, and then after that point I just started doing it on my own. And the good thing about going into a group where people are meditating is there's one person in there who's guiding, who is your anchor. They're the ones who guide you right throughout the whole process. And you can find similar things on YouTube where you see guided meditation of you plug in headphones or something, and there's a voice, and they help you to ease yourself, recenter yourself, and help to guide your thoughts. Because if we're not meditating, or if we're not aware of our thoughts, they tend to take over our lives in a way that our thoughts dictate what we want to do, instead of ourselves as individuals taking control of our minds and our thoughts. In a way, that's the subconscious mind taking control of what we're doing consciously. So I saw something last night that said that if we were to talk about the subconscious mind and conscious mind, we can look at the iceberg diagram. And I'm sure we've seen that sort of the majority of them have the success at the top of the iceberg, and then you have all the work ethic and the challenges and sacrifices in the bottom half of the iceberg that's under the water. And what this person was saying that I was watching last night said, the conscious mind is actually the little peak at the top of the iceberg. And the subconscious mind is the rest of the iceberg that's immersed in the water. So if we were to pretty much surrender to our subconscious mind, we are limiting ourselves from what we can actually become. Because it is the conscious mind, and our consciousness is the thing that allows to penetrate through our subconscious mind, or all of these bad thoughts there, the I'm not enough, the all of those bad seeds that are planted there. But it's our consciousness that allows us to tap into our true potential and what we really want to be or deserve to be in life. And meditating helps us to strengthen our consciousness. It helps us to tap more into our consciousness in a way where we have control over it. And what meditating does, it not only strengthens it, but it also helps us to plant better seeds within our subconscious mind. So, as I said earlier, our subconscious, the thoughts that really govern that area are those things like, I'm not good enough, or, we all have that voice in our head like, I shouldn't do that because of this. That's a bad choice to make, but you go ahead and do it. Those types of thoughts are coming from the subconscious, where if we had so much within ourselves to block out those voices, that's our consciousness that's allowing us to block them out. So the way that I go into meditating, it's so different to, it's not different. I shouldn't say that it's not different, because there's so many different versions of meditating. And most people think meditating is like sitting in a corner by yourself or in a group and just going, or just finding eternal nothingness. And that is a type of meditation. And those people who are in that group, and we can look at monks or Buddhism, or people who are in that space, when they are trying to find nothingness, that takes extreme persistence. That takes extreme consistent effort and practice to get to that space, because it's really, really difficult. But if you're to go into nothingness, that is the strongest connection that you're going to have with the universe, with the Supreme Being, with God, because there is no way to sort of visually see what God is, or what the Supreme Being is, or what Eo is. But there is a vibration, there is a sense of it existing. And there's a sound that comes from the Supreme Being, or whatever you might want to call it. But the that noise, or that sound, is the closest thing that people have associated with the Supreme Being. So when people are in these spaces, that's them getting a stronger connection. And if we're able to get into that space, and there's different ways of doing it, but the way that I try and go into it is I take it from a branch of Tony Robbins, and he calls his process priming. Now, what priming does is it really sets you up for the day. And I'll talk through it a little bit, and then we'll break it down. So the first part of it is that you center yourself. You just get comfortable, whether that's if you're in tune with the ocean, you can go by the ocean. If you want to go out into the forest, you can do that, or you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Doesn't really matter where you are, as long as you're comfortable and you feel connected and you feel centered. The next part is you'll just spend a bit of time breathing. So you're just breathing. And what the breath does, it just helps you to focus on one thing. Because like I said, there's so many thoughts that go through our mind, but if you just focus on your breathing, it gives your thoughts a focus point to focus on. And that helps you to calm down, that helps you to relax. Then the next part would be going into a space of gratitude, right? So if you're thinking about gratitude and things that you're grateful for in your life, what that's doing to you, it's elevating your vibrational frequency. So it's making you feel better. It's making you feel good. It's making you feel amazing, making you feel happy. And when you're feeling so good and things are going great internally, the next phase of this is you want to start dreaming. You want to allow yourself to dream. You want yourself to, think about the aspirations, your desires, whether that's relationships, whether that's going traveling, whatever that may be. This is the time where you put yourself into this situation, because when you're feeling good, you're able to access all of these dreams and aspirations and desires in a way where you feel you can attain them. And if you didn't go through this process, and if you're just thinking if something bad happened or is going wrong and you're not feeling good within yourself, you don't even have the capacity to dream good. All you think about is that I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this. But if you're able to feel good within yourself, these dreams seem so much closer than you realize. It enables you to exercise the imaginary muscle that we do have in our brains. And everything that you see around you started off with a thought. Everything that you see around you started from an imagination, started from someone who wanted to create change in the world. And all of the things that we see, like we see airplanes in the sky, have we ever stopped to think about that? Even cars, lights, all of these, the navigation of the South Pacific. All of these things started from a thought. And if we're not choosing to consciously think about the things that we want to have within our life, we may never attain it if we don't have the courage to dream and believe. And you're not only in the space, you're not just dreaming like it's just the to-do list. You have to put yourself in the space as though it's already been achieved. And I think that is the difference. That is the difference between a to-do list and a dream that seems attainable, is you have to physically put yourself in that space. So for myself, just an example is, we all know that I want to get a food trailer. We all know that I want a food trailer. And I've been thinking about this for so long, and when I'm in a meditated state, I just think about it and I see it happening. And I just went to a food trailer warehouse, and I went in there and I felt it. I looked around, I felt it. I was there with my girlfriend, and we were just talking to us. I was like, yes, we can do this, this feels great. So what that's doing is just reassuring. It's giving me that feeling that my thoughts can then become reality. And then you come out of that space and you just feel absolutely great, and you're walking out and it's almost that you're seeing life through a new lens. And this is something that I do on and off, but I've been pretty consistent with it because I'm determined to achieve the things that I've set out to achieve. But the thing that I wanted to sort of bring this in with is I've been thinking about, how does this relate to Te Ao Māori? Because everything that I do, I try and associate it and relate it to a Māori worldview. And I've been thinking about a few things. And when we're to be in a meditated state, like I said at the start, well, this process that I go through, that's the branch of Tony Robbins priming, is you center yourself from breathing, right? You breathe. And in that breath, there's something that reminds me of a Māori word that is profound, and that word is aroha, right? So to most people, aroha means love. But in this sense, if we were to break down the word aroha, aro is direct, ha is life essence, or your breath, right? So aroha, aro, ha. So that is the first process, is you are centering yourself through aro ki te ha. The next place that I think, and in Māori there's always a cool thing that happens where it works in dualities. Maturangi spoken it in the last podcast. But most things work in twos. And in the space of meditating, there's aroha, and then I believe that it's associated to this other word called, that is whakaaro. Whakaaro is another word, or is the Māori word for thoughts or thinking. But if we were to break down that word, whakaaro, whaka, that's an action word, to aro, there's that word again. Aro is to direct, right? So aroha, whakaaro. And these two things work in duality because you're centering yourself with your life essence, but then you're also allowing your whakaaro to direct where you want your Autoha to go, your life essence. So these are the things that I've been thinking about. And if we're able to tap into this sort of space of centering yourselves in, and I've found some amazing insights from going into this space. And quite often I come out and I have to write out all of these things, and because there's so much within the space, and if you're able to read or listen to all of these thought leaders of our day, they all talk about the answers are within us. Everything starts from within. But how are we exercising and practicing the within part? Right? So if we're able to go in, and I stopped listening to podcasts like, last month to really exercise this thing. Because if we're to look through all of our life experiences, we've gone through enough in order to find the knowledge in which we seek, in order to find the answers in which we seek. But it's not about finding the answers, it's more so about asking the right question. So what questions are we asking ourselves, and how are we allowing to massage those questions that we desire answers for? And more often than not, if you're patient, if you allow yourself to open up, you will find those answers, and they will always come from within. It's good to have all these resources that we have now because the answers are right there, but we won't ever attach meaning to them unless we feel it ourselves. And that's what meditating helps me to uncover for myself. But the next part of this is that what meditating does, it helps to, give you a better vibe. And I spoke about it. And we all know what vibration and frequency and all those things are. It's because when you see someone that you might see who has a good vibe, and we just say a good vibe. But the more definition of that is vibrational frequency, right? So if my vibe is good, if my vibe is in the space of goodness, or is in the space of goodness, and I'm feeling really great, what that actually does, it puts me onto a higher level, which in terms of level would be higher frequency, right? And if our dreams and aspirations are on a higher frequency, the universe, the supreme being, the creator will recognize this frequency and allow things to come into fruition. And that's what thoughts do. That's what our beliefs can do. They can manifest into this physical reality in which we all are occupying in. So, that's meditating. I wish I could go on. Hope I didn't lose any of you within that process or within this podcast session. But I really do encourage you all to find yourself a quiet place or a space where you feel amazing, where it's just you. And the other awesome thing about meditating is that you're giving yourself time throughout the day to really invest into yourself. And I think that is one of the most important things about meditating, is you are being selfish with your time, where you are able to go and be with yourself and develop this internal dialogue that you have. And as you nurture this space, you'll begin to see more clearly with your eyes closed than you do with them open. You'll begin to hear differently. So e te whanau, I hope that this didn't just go way too deep, but this is the way that I think, this is the way that I feel, and I know the profound benefits that come from putting yourself into a meditated state, investing into yourself, trying to articulate all of these thoughts that are happening and choosing to find them within. E te whanau, mauri oho, mauri ora. Let's go.